Welcome back, listeners, to Sandman Stories Presents, a folklore podcast where I read you to sleep or until the next story. I'm your host, Dustin. Today we are back in the book of Ecuadorian folklore written down by Mario Conde. The first story is about a drunkard that abuses a weathercock on the top of a church. He has taught a lesson, but did he really learn the lesson? And the second is about a pirate and his lost treasure, and what Captain Lewis will do to keep it safe. Okay, and there's two words that are known in Ecuador that wouldn't be known to you. Aguardiente is a naturally distilled drink made by locals, and runacuna is kind of a witch lady. More like a native person who's knowledgeable about herbs. Nothing spooky. Okay, let's begin. Story number 1. The Cock of the Cathedral. Don Ramon Ayala Sandoval was an important and bold man. He was fond of music and mistelas. This was a drink made of aguardiente and cinnamon that an old runacuna woman had been making in Quito since she was a young woman. But none of this was out of the ordinary, except that in his drunkenness, Don Ramon would pass through the Plaza Grande, hurling insults at the rooster atop the roof. Living up to his reputation as a hardened bachelor of 40 years, Don Ramon led a lonely life subject to strict schedule. He got up at 6 in the morning, worked through the day, and then at 3 in the afternoon, he would take Santa Catalina Street down to the house of the Runa woman named Mariana. The afternoon passed quietly in the city until the bells of Santa Catalina struck 6. Then the residents of Quito would be treated to the thunderous voice from Mariana's house, and they knew that Don Ramon was up to his usual tricks. The irate little drunkard would leave the bar rosy-cheeked, shouting empty threats. Then, upon reaching the parapet of the cathedral, he would see the rooster with its comb erect, strutting in defiance of the dawn. The very idea that in the city the cock was more cocksure than him infuriated Don Ramon. "Whoever thinks that he is bigger than me can show himself. As far as I'm concerned, none of you are worth a damn thing. Not even you at the top of the cathedral, you big chicken dinner, damn it." This happened every day, until one day Don Ramon drank the whole bar dry. "Whoever thinks that he is bigger than me can show himself. As far as I'm concerned, none of you are worth a damn thing. Not even you, at the top of the cathedral, you big chicken dinner, damn it." This happened every day, until one day Don Ramon drank the entire bar dry. He was drunk right up to his eyeballs. He was returning home at about 8 o'clock that night, when, looking up at the dome of the cathedral, he couldn't see the silhouette of the cock against the darkness of the sky. He had been boasting about scaring away the rooster when he noticed the shadow following him in the darkness. He turned to look, but all he saw was shadows. A cold shiver ran through his body. He looked left and right, and then it was right in front of him. It was a small bird, but it began to grow in size. Soon it was taller than any of the buildings around. Don Ramon was at a loss for words. He could not believe it. The giant cock raised its leg and kicked Don Ramon twice, making blood trickle down his legs. The angry drunkard was now cowering on the ground. Once he was on the ground, the giant bird pecked his head until Don Ramon broke down and cried. Don Ramon begged the furious cock to stop beating him. He begged for forgiveness for all the abuse he had hurled at the innocent Weathervane. He was shocked again when the rooster spoke in a loud, raspy voice. "Do you promise to stop drinking Mariana's mistela?" "Yes, I promise." "Do you promise to stop insulting me, the cathedral weathercock, or any other human being?" Don Ramon swore to never insult anyone ever again, to never drink alcohol again, or even to drink water for that matter. "Get up, wretched mortal, and if you ever go back to your old ways, I'll be waiting here for you," threatened the rooster. Although many said it was all a trick by the church deacon, it still led Don Ramon to lead a modest, sober life, at least for a little while. One afternoon, he thought he could just stop off at Mariana's for just one glass of the sweet wine. He entered the bar slowly and sheepishly, but one glass turned into two, two into five into 11, and then he was drunk again. The church bells struck 6. Don Ramon's voice could be heard coming out of the bar. He stumbled past the cathedral shouting, "Whoever thinks he is a bigger man than me, let him show himself. As far as I'm concerned, none of you are worth anything. Not even you, big rooster on the roof. You don't scare me, you big pigeon." If it was a trick or not, one thing was obvious. Don Ramon was hopeless. The end. And story number 2, Captain Lewis's Treasure. Brother Thomas of Berlanga, the Bishop of Panama, discovered the Galapagos Islands by accident in 1535. Since then, the archipelago has become the refuge of the shipwrecked, whalers, and pirates. The pirates especially enjoyed the rugged terrain and similar look of each island in order to hide their ill-gotten booty. However, there were times when those same men could not find their treasures again. One of the pirates' favorite spots was a beach on the northern part of Floriana Island, better known today as Bahia del Correo. There in 1793, English Captain James Colnett left some letters in a barrel of rum, so that other mariners would take them and spread the word. With the passage of time, the letters entered the hands of different soldiers and even pirates. Every sailor in the Pacific would collect these letters and take them to new places, leaving a trail of correspondences. Thus, the most unique messenger system was established. Moreover, Bahia del Correo became a mandatory stop for buccaneers who stopped at the barrel box to leave news for their fellow mariners. It is said that even the most famous pirates such as Davis, Cook, Morgan, Dampier, Cowley, and Eaton use this system. One of these legendary sea dogs was the pirate Lewis, who lived on Floriana Island and died on San Cristobal. Like many of his kind, his adventures were a mix of reality and fantasy. To begin with, no one knows where he came from or why he decided to live on San Cristobal. What was known is that from time to time he would leave the island, only to return a few weeks later and go on with his life as usual. Many years earlier, Lewis had made a fortune pirating off the Guinea coast. One night during a terrible storm, the main mast of his frigate broke off and the ship was only saved when Lewis made a deal with the devil. That was years ago, and he had since retired to the sunny pirate haven in the Pacific. There he had become friends with Manuel Augusto Cobos. Near the end of his days, he told his friend the reason for these mysterious trips. His secret was that Lewis had buried the treasure on an island. Whenever he had money problems, he went to the hiding place in the old boat and fetched a few gold doubloons to cover his expenses for a little while. Lewis decided it was time to reveal his secret location to his friend. That day, he took his friend on a fishing boat operated by 4 sailors. The 2 friends made it to the crossing without incident. However, in the middle of some choppy waters, Lewis began to jump and scream like he had lost his mind. It was like the devil himself had come for his soul. His eyes rolled back in his head, and he began to foam at the mouth. Upon seeing this, his friend Don Miguel Agostos Cobos ordered the mariners to sail back to San Cristobal. He landed with his delirious friend with the intention of taking him home. He was worried for his friend, who shouted and screamed with no rhyme or reason. But as suddenly as he had started, he stopped. "I'm sorry if I scared you back there," said the pirate Lewis. "I had to act like that because those mariners had planned to kill us as soon as they found my hiding place." Not long after that, Lewis died, carrying with him the location of his secret hiding place. To this day, people still look for the hidden treasure on Floriana Island, and tourists still take the time to write letters and stick them in that old rum barrel. The end. That first story was a lot of fun. I like the supernatural rooster on the roof and learning about the local liquor in Ecuador. I kind of wish that something had happened to him when he went back to his old ways, but alas, nothing happened. And in the second story, I added a little bit after I researched the pirate William Lewis. It turns out that he might never have existed, and may have been the creation of Captain Charles Johnson, the author of a general history of robberies and murders of the most notorious pirates. Captain Charles Johnson, in a twist, is likely a pen name, as no captain of that name was recorded when the book was published. It is thought that the writer was actually Daniel Defoe, but it has never been proven. Still, the idea of buried treasure and romantic stories of pirate adventures will never go out of style. And there are only 2 more stories in this book, so I will have to put in for a replacement soon. Maybe some stories from somewhere else in the Spanish Main. And the podcast shout-out is to the Ratchet Book Club. Rashani does a great job of finding interesting books and reading them with enthusiasm. And he really is a great reader, and his asides crack me up. He reads good books and Ratchet books, according to his words. I think they are all interesting. They all have something to give. And so if you like his show as much as I do, go give him a like, a rating, and a review. And also, big shout out to Rashani for the listener discretion is greatly advised. I use that on my Sandman After Dark Patreon, which is free if y'all want to go and join up and listen to that. And the listener shout out is to San Cristobal in the Galapagos. At one point, it was named Dasini Island by the English pirate William Ambrosia Cowley. Then English Captain James Colnett renamed it Chatham Island after John Pitt, the 2nd Earl of Chatham. The Spanish renamed it after St. Christopher, the patron saint of sailors. It is the easternmost island in the Galapagos and is home to about 6,000 people. And I will go there someday, just to see the marine iguanas. And so to my one listener on San Cristobal, I say muchas gracias y buenas noches. Thank you, and good night.